well, we both played something at the same time, and it's new. Well, relatively new.
I mean, it's a week old basically.
Yeah, it basically released the day before we recorded last week. But we've been playing The Medium, which is on Xbox Series X, Series S, and PC. It's not on Xbox One.
Isn't it? I didn't know that.
Not on all the consoles. Yeah,
that is wild. Because
is weird because it doesn't require an SSD on PC, but it's like, maybe it's something to do with like the CPU having like the CPU on the old consoles being just really bad.
Yeah.
So,
also the whole dual reality thing. I'd imagine it's a bit resource intensive.
Yeah. So The Medium is the latest horror game from, I would say, renowned horror veterans, Bloober Team. They are the ones who they've made Observer, Layers of Fear, Blair Witch, which isn't good, unlike the other two. But they've kind of made a name for themselves for very like atmospheric, passive horror games in the sense that there's no combat. Blair Witch was the same. Observer was the same. I didn't play much Layers of Fear, but I believe it's the same. So The Medium is like that. It's got a camera system from like old Resident Evil and Silent Hill games, and it's mostly a game about avoiding danger in some sections, but also just like solving environmental puzzles and reading up a lot on, notes left behind by other characters, seeing flashbacks to past events, stuff like that. And I really like it. Like, I was prepared to go in here being like, Blair Witch was really bad. I thought it was actually like a really bad game. And the sort of talk I'd seen before starting The Medium was that it's okay. So I was like, it's just going to be disappointing.
It's like a bit mixed, I'd say, from a lot of outlets. Some people praising it, some people like, nah, it's fine. So, like no consensus of like, wow, this is a groundbreaking atmospheric horror.
It's either like getting really good scores or really bad ones. Yeah. It's very, very strange. But I haven't finished it. You say I'm very close to the end, but I'm having a great time with it. I think it's a super atmospheric and very spooky game. I don't find it scary. I find it more unnerving, and then especially the story dabbles in some very hectic subject matter, which I was not expecting, and that's really what's gripped me. Is the story I think is really good.
I must say, so this is one of those games where I actually knew next to nothing about it. I mean, I knew, the only thing I really knew was this basic mechanic, not a basic mechanic, but this mechanic where the game's got what it calls, I suppose, a dual reality, where the lead character can basically, she exists in the normal world and like another plane or dimension.
World.
Like a spirit world, that's what it's called. And the game, so the way the game is marketed was like, it felt like at any point, my understanding was at any point you could flip between the worlds.
Yeah, but that's how I understood it as well.
That's not at all how it works at all. It forces you into one or the other or both at the same time, which is fun. But it just presents interesting things where you, in the real world, you can see like I'm in a hotel lobby, for example, but simultaneously I'm in some other weird world where it's like red and gloomy and full of, just very atmospheric and weird looking. But what I'm getting at is like, that's really all I knew about the game was this whole, dual reality mechanic. I knew nothing about, the story, anything like that. But I mean, I consumed this game. I finished it. I probably played like 8 hours on one Sunday afternoon, and then like an hour on Monday morning to like wrap it up. And like there's a reason for that. I was just hooked by it. I really... Yeah, my Lenska said she was working overtime, so I had free reign to do what I wanted. But I really enjoyed it as well. I thought it was a great game. No, I wouldn't say it's like Game of the Year material.
No.
There are a couple of things I feel that hold it back, but overall, like I'm really glad I played it, and it's on Game Pass. So
it's a great Game Pass game because it's like you said, it's a no-brainer just to give it a go. And I think the more people that give it a go actually will find that there's a lot there to enjoy. So like you're saying, the dual reality system it's almost used as like a set piece. So there's certain instances where you'll be moving within both worlds simultaneously, and some instances where you're completely in the spirit world. Later in the game, you come across a mechanic where you can use mirrors to kind of transport yourself between one or the other, which I found fairly cool. But I think the puzzles that are designed around the dual reality system are quite cool. They're not like overly complex, but solving them still triggers that that nice feeling sensation in your brain of solving things. And I think the coolest mechanic as part of that is what they call the out of body experience. So like, for example, if you're playing both realities at the same time, and in the real world you come across a locked door, you cannot progress within the spirit world either, because what's the protagonist's name?
I've actually just gone blank.
Yeah,
I was also there. I was like,
it's Marianne.
Marianne, that's it.
So Marianne,
I remember that because I just think of Afrikaans Marianne.
Marianne. Marianne, she can't obviously walk through a door in one place and not the other. So you have this ability to go out of body, essentially, where you're able to move freely within the spirit world and freeze your body in the real world for a moment. Like, it feels quite long. They say it's like a limited time, but
it's like a minute, but it feels like
quite long. I've never
seconds,
reached the time limit on that. So, but essentially, what that allows you to do is move into places where in the real world you wouldn't be able to, and usually that leads you to items that you'd need to unlock the door or power something, or stuff like that. You can't pick up a key in the spirit world and then suddenly have it in the real one. But you can do things like, I don't know why, but certain generators for like elevators are powered by spirit energy. So you can like kickstart a generator in one world and then it's working in the real one. I don't know. Or you can discover certain aspects of like an area, like pick up a note that tells you something about an area in one world that will help inform you in the other to go and find something. I think it's got a really cool flow of each of these little rooms are like self-contained puzzles, and it feels cool just moving from one area to the next, and just kind of making a way through this. I don't know what it is. Is it like a resort in Poland, an abandoned resort?
Yeah, it's basically an abandoned resort in Poland, which
where
has
some massacre happened.
Yeah. So I suppose we could bounce to the story where. So the whole story for the most part is obviously Marianne. There's a reason she's been called to this resort, but the note she finds like really fleshes out what happened at this place. And I must say, I was really blown away by all the notes I found, because they're not like these lengthy, volumes of like lore, whatever. It's like literally a scribble on a page or a postcard, whatever. But you find them so regularly that I was really enjoying finding them. I was like, oh my God, like, what does this say? Like, what happens to this character? This is a note I found about this character a while back, whatever. And not only that, so on top of the note, you also found... I know, is it called like a memory echo or something, where you basically can witness like a scene of two spirits talking to each other or something, and also just further, fleshes out the story. You'll pick up, say, I don't know, like an old boot, and there'll be like an echo on it which triggers dialogue of something tied to that object or something that happened in that room, whatever. And it just, I don't know, like you said, there's something about this game where there's such a good flow of none of the puzzles feel too difficult. Like, I don't think there was any puzzle where I was walking around for like an hour going, oh my God, what do I do here?
Yeah.
Like, I just can't for the life of me figure it out. But it just ticks that box of like, you get that sense of satisfaction, like, oh, I figured this out, I can move on to the next area. Then you get to that area and there's a note and there's an item, whatever, and then there's another puzzle. You do all of it, then you move to the next area. And it just is really satisfying loop that's spaced out with these different flips of realities, where sometimes you're living in both worlds simultaneously, sometimes you're in the spirit world, sometimes you're just in the real world. And I just think it creates such a such an interesting dynamic and atmosphere that I really enjoyed exploring.
And I think what makes it worth exploring is just the story, the nuggets of info that it feeds you in a very like good manner, like a very well-paced manner, where it flips so effortlessly between very personalized stories based on where you are in the resort. Like you'll discover like a micro story about like 2 or 3 characters within a certain area, but that will tie into the larger mystery of the place. And it starts really delving into these very uncomfortable themes of trauma and abuse, which kind of inform the design of the spirit world that you're exploring. I wasn't expecting it to hit so hard, but there are some incredible story moments where I was just like glued to the game, just like what happens next, what happened here. I want to know the context of why this character did this.
And the game
like,
goes places.
I'm like curious to see what the end has to hold, because there's a central mystery there that I don't understand. But the characters that are all in play are super fascinating. I think they're really, really cool. The one part that doesn't vibe with me so much, like I don't find it irritating, but I don't think it's as good as the rest, is just the stealth sections. So at any point while you're exploring, you can come into contact with this antagonist called the Maw. And if she, I don't know, grabs you, you it's game over. You can't fight back against it. So your only means the only means of escaping is hiding and using your spirit energy to escape, like get a jail free card in case he grabs you once. But I think the stealth is so weird. It doesn't feel like I'm actually being stealthy. It just feels like I'm hiding behind something, waiting for him to move up in the screen. And it doesn't feel like riveting, or it doesn't feel like smart stealth in a way. And I think the fixed camera angle works against it in that way, because it doesn't allow me to survey my surroundings. I have to work with the viewpoint that I have. Whereas the fixed camera, when you're exploring everything, is really good at...
It's super cinematic.
It makes it so cinematic and so atmospheric, because you can only see what the game wants you to see. So it's very effective at setting up some minor scares. Like, this game isn't about jump scares, which I love, because I think jump scares suck.
There are 1 or 2 moments.
There's 1 or 2, but it's not built up on just that. It's more atmosphere and just overall story that makes everything feel creepy and eerie. So I like it. I also think it looks really good on PC. I think visually it's quite
a beautiful game.
It's quite beautiful. So it's a good time. And like you said, it's like 8-9 hours. So it's a weekend game.
Just the fact that it's on Game Pass. Sorry to keep hammering on that. It's because it's so important, because it's a sort of game where a lot of people would look at it and be like, I don't know if that's for me. And you might drop all your money on it, be like, shit, like this is like, I know you can't equate time to the value of a game. Some people will, some people won't, but like some people will play it, like, oh, like this is an 8-hour game, like damn, like I got cheated, but if it's on Game Pass, it's there, you can try it. You might like it, you might not like it, that's fine. It's just it's something I think more people should play, and they might not realize that they'd enjoy that sort of game. Like, I think it is 100% worth playing.
I think there's very little barrier to entry in that regard. So just give it a go.
Just to double back onto the Maw quickly.
Oh, the Maw.
Voiced by Troy Baker. Who I think does like it's so funny, because we both joke about Simon Krieger from Miles Morales, which, like you've pointed out, it feels like a very dialed in sort of performance of like
it's so basic.
It's like Troy Baker starring as Troy Baker. I mean Simon Krieger. Like, it just sounds like him being himself. Whereas the Maw is like the shit this antagonist says, and the tone and how it's conveyed. It's real creepy stuff, and I think it's like one of his best performances, I'd say. Like, it's not quite on the same level as, say, Joel from The Last of Us, but it's different. It's like a completely different performance from him.
I mean, if I didn't know, I wouldn't have been able to tell it was Troy Baker voicing the Maw, because he's so like guttural and monstrous. It's like, and like you said, the dialogue is super unsettling, and he sells it really, really well. When the Maw's chasing you and talking about wearing your skin, I'm just like, okay, I don't want to be anywhere near you.
There's some weird theme about skin in this game, which I still need to like ponder on, because I'm like, it touches on themes, but I don't quite get the skin one. Like, it's quite a big thing. I mean, at any point in the spirit world, you cut through like literal skin walls. I'm like, what are you conveying here? And the Maw wants to wear your skin, and like,
it just keeps reminding me of Buffalo Bill from Silence of the Lambs. That's all it keeps reminding. And I'm just like, this is off-putting. I don't like this at all.
I don't like it. But the medium, I really think, if you on PC or Xbox, like, and you have Game Pass, it is something worth picking up. It's not a long game, like 8 to 10 hours. You can finish it in, like, do like me, play it in one day, or break it up over 2 or 3 sessions. And like, there's an interesting story there, with like just light puzzle solving and very atmospheric exploration. So yeah,
it's great. I think it's fantastic. I really, really like it, and it's got its flaws, no doubt, but I was surprised at how much I liked it.
Likewise,
especially coming off of Blair Witch, which was actually just terrible. So that's I agree with you. You should definitely give that a go.